Welcome back to the channel. Glad you're here, and I hope I can make it worth your time. Man, so let's just jump right into it. So much for the Battle of LA. If you watch me, I'm always complaining about that. That's the matchup everyone was expecting to see from the second the NBA tipped off. But I'm not too upset. This series is very interesting, man, and we're just gonna get into it. Lakers versus Nuggets. So, how did each team get here? The Lakers got here through defense. I mean, through the seeding games, it was very lackluster. You know, it was a continuation of them pacing themselves that we saw in the regular season before the NBA pause. You know, they went 3-5 in the seeding games, but they totally flipped the script in the actual playoffs, man. And not only are they playing amazing team defense, both running out to the perimeters, implementing multiple schemes. Like the schemes against Horton and Rockets is almost a complete flip of the schemes against Portland. And they're getting production from the people they need to get production by. LeBron is not the number one option in terms of offense. It's AD. He is having a monster playoff run. 27 points on 58% field goal shooting, 39% from three, almost 11 rebounds. Insane. And then James, 26 points on 55% shooting, 37% from three, about 10 assists. Their two top guys are playing like the two top options. And what they have really signed in the first round, there's no one to guard LeBron. The Trailblazers had no wings. You know, you can't really use that matchup to make an argument about, you know, going forward. The Rockets, though, all they had were wings. And LeBron still found a way to pickpocket, to dissect that Houston defense. There's no sign of him slowing down. He ages like fine wine. And he's going to be his own LeBron self. And as long as AD keeps producing at this monster level and playoff P keeps showing up, as long with the other role players like Morris and KCP to an extent, I started laughing, man. But KCP is showing out. Their role players, everyone is out there, man. They're on a mission. They're trying to win one in Disney World. And if they keep playing like this, they sure will. And how did the Nuggets get to this point? Jamal Murray, man, 50 points twice. He's averaging about 27 in the bubble, 50 points twice in the first round. He cooled off against the Clippers and what they ran on him. But what the Clippers game plan didn't account for the best center in the game, a transcendent player, Jokic, man. He's shooting threes. He's forcing double teams on the post even when Kawhi is put on him. He's forcing double teams. He is a monster on the boards. And when he gets the ball in the high post, man, and they run screens off of him, off ball, pin downs, he finds the man. He makes things happen, and he's a really transcendent player. Once again, their role players need to come up clutch. They did come up clutch. But there were long stretches against the Jazz and the Clippers where they weren't hitting threes, right? They had a bit of a dry spell. Or when you have Jokic and Murray off the floor, they weren't creating anything. Very stagnant offense. They can't really have much of that against the Lakers, man. If the Lakers get a lead, they will put their foot on the gas. They will not relent. LeBron is on a mission, man. And that's what it is for that. Now, individual matchups I'm interested in seeing is the Nuggets. These are one of the games where we have a lot of case studies to peruse over. The Nuggets played the Lakers 4 times this year before the break. Howard and McGee are people they ran a lot in the regular season. They haven't ran as much in these playoffs because of matchups, right? They ran a little bit in Portland. They barely ran them all at all against Houston. I have a feeling that they're going to be a staple of this offense against the Nuggets. Howard and McGee held Jokic to 16 points on about 48% shooting in the 4 games. 16 points, man. He still got his assists. I think it was around 6 or 7. But the Lakers won 3 out of the 4 games. Jamal Murray is really not much of a problem, right? They got capable guard defenders. Avery Bradley was there the last time these guys played like that. But Rondo, KCP, they're more than enough to hold their own. And unlike the Clippers, unlike the Jazz with Rudy Gobert, they will hedge hard. They will attempt to trap. They will attempt to implement what they did against Harden. And they have the bodies to run to the shooters, especially if Jokic is on the floor. AD doesn't really need to leave him as much. They play around Murray and Jokic, and the Lakers can match that pretty easily. And back to this idea of the Lakers performing good against guards, of them having good enough guards and good enough wings who can switch onto guards. Harden's points dropped by 5, Westbrook dropped by 7, and Lillard dropped by 6. Westbrook and Harden, actually all 3 of those elite guards tanked in field goal percentage. Harden actually performed better than most, but he's shooting around 40 times. The Lakers are elite. I mean, that's not a surprise to anyone, but the Lakers can more than hold their own against Murray. And it's really gonna, for the Nuggets, it's really gonna have to come from people like Porter. It's really gonna have to come from Gary Harris on the defensive end, right? They still don't have Will Barton. Jeremy Grant, I mean, he's long, he's athletic. I don't know if I like him as much defensively. The big question mark for the Nuggets is who's going to guard LeBron, right? I don't know who's going to guard LeBron. They can run, and with Rondo playing as well as he is, LeBron doesn't need to be the... Oh, man, as I'm talking, man, I'm starting to make up my decision. But for the Nuggets, more problems for the Nuggets, man. They were 14th out of the 16 teams in this playoffs. They are 14th in paint protection, giving up around 65% of all attempts in the paint are good. 65%. And the Lakers, the first 2 rounds, they didn't really go against people who can exploit that weakness. Jokic is not a shot blocking center. Jokic is not Embiid in the sense of his defense, right? The Jazz, Rudy Gobert isn't posting up anyone. The Clippers, Markieff Hield, can't even say his name. He's trash. Well, he played trash. He's a very good role player in the regular season. He was last year, but for whatever reason this year, I think he's going through some stuff outside. He played poorly. Zubac was pretty good, but 8 points, 10 points, man. No one really to test him in the paint. The complete opposite here, man. And the matchup is really bad for the Nuggets, man. AD is going to have a feast. I anticipate them maybe even running double teams on AD. Maybe they have their big man, Paul Millsap and Jokic, zone around AD while everyone else mans up on the guards. That's a very, dire situation for if they were to turn to that. And LeBron himself, they have multiple people. The threat of the 3-point shot will open driving lanes. The Lakers had no problems with floor spacing. This may change if they play Howard and McGee, right? If they go big and really try to stifle anything at the paint, maybe the Nuggets can salvage something. But Jokic, he has to have a great series for them to have a chance, and I don't see that happening. But really there's, but I guess you could say the Nuggets have heart, right? And the final thing is LeBron, man. I touched on him a little bit, but the Michael Jordan debate isn't over because LeBron's career isn't over. He is still as good as he was. He might not have that athleticism, but his basketball mind, his IQ, he sees the game on a different platform. And it's never a good idea to bet against LeBron. In fact, the Nuggets, man, I don't see them having a chance because LeBron is on the opposing team. The only person I personally thought who could neutralize this is Kawhi. Really upset, now I'm back to being upset, man. I'm upset we didn't get to see that matchup. But still, the Nuggets deserve this. The Nuggets are not even at their peak yet. And they have a lot of room left to grow. And they have to be happy with this, man. They really do. They have to be so pleased, ecstatic that their rebuilding process has come to this. Compare that to someone like the 76ers. Or the Knicks, who, haven't really started rebuilding yet. Man, but that's all I have for y'all. Man, tune in next time. Stay safe. God bless.